Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it's great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, thanks very much for joining us. Hope you like what you hear. So our podcast is for people that want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. And we did an episode last week on why we were supportive of the activities that the DOGE group led by Elon Musk were undertaking. And got a lot of response to that and a lot of positive response to that. And so we wanted to do a follow-up on that because that group has been operating now for a couple of weeks. And there's some interesting stuff that they've uncovered already. But before we jump into that, there's been a lot of angst and public outrage about Elon Musk not being elected, not being appointed, not being a cabinet member, et cetera, et cetera. And that feels, well, I shouldn't say feels, it's very disingenuous because there have been several instances in the past of unappointed, unelected people who had close proximity to the administration who were given roles and given a lot of autonomy within those roles simply because the president appointed them. The first one that comes to mind is Hillary Clinton. So when Bill Clinton was first elected, he appointed Hillary as the person in charge of developing and implementing a plan for universal health care. Now, if you're old enough, we're 52, and if you're old enough, you remember what a debacle that turned into. But Hillary Clinton was leading teams of hundreds, if not thousands of people that were looking at this. She is the one that put the plan together. She was sent out to sell the plan to the American public. And it was when it was when the American public, in our opinion, really started to dislike Hillary Clinton because people got to see who she was and how she was. Now, Hillary Clinton is an extremely intelligent, extremely educated person, but she's also, in our opinion, a really despicable person. And I don't think she gives a shit about anyone but Hillary Clinton. And I think most Americans saw that, which is why they don't like her, which is why half the country refused to vote for her when she ran for president, which is why Barack Obama soundly defeated her in the Democratic primaries in 2008 to win the presidency after he won the Democratic nomination. So, there's one example. The second example is actually Michelle Obama. So Michelle Obama was given a wide berth on school lunches and healthy eating, and nobody voted for her. Nobody appointed her. Also, an extremely intelligent, extremely educated person. We're not saying that she was miscast. Our whole point is those were smart, intelligent people who were put in charge of something simply because the president says, I want you to work on this. It's exactly the same thing that Elon Musk is doing. So all of this pearl clutching and hand wringing over Elon Musk is disingenuous at best. It's an outright lie at worst. George Soros has had close proximity to every Democratic president. Michael Bloomberg is a multi-billionaire that has access. Bill Gates is someone that has access. And maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. Our whole point is not to say it's good that Elon Musk is doing it, but it was bad that Hillary Clinton is doing it. Our whole point is this is not new. This is something lots of presidents have done. And we would argue that when you have smart, capable people willing to help, you as a good leader should take that help. And that's what we think those presidents were doing, regardless of the outcome of the initiatives that they were implementing or looking at spearheading for those presidents. So that's our little rant on shut the fuck up about Elon Musk. Lots of people have done what Elon Musk is doing. He's not the first. He won't be the last. We personally think he's exactly the right person to do what he's doing because he's done exactly this at scale at really big, important companies. So we think he's eminently qualified to tackle what he's trying to tackle here. Now, what we do have today is we want to show you a couple of videos. And these are not from sources that, like, we're not in love with these sources. One is CBS News, and the other one is from Congresswoman Nancy Mace. And we are not fans of Nancy Mace's at all. We find her to be kind of attention-seeking and a grandstanding, but she is an intelligent person, and we think she makes some very valid points in the questions that she's asking three governors as they testify before Congress. So the first video we're going to play here is from CBS News, and they talk about fact-checking things that DOGE has found USAID spent money on. And you can argue all you want. Are these right? Are these wrong? Our point is not to say we agree with these, we don't agree with these. Our point is to say that we, as U.S. taxpayers, should know this is going on and know that the members that we put in Congress approved this stuff. So we'd like to know who voted for him and who didn't vote for him and why they did. So with that said, let's jump into the CBS video first, and we'll just listen to what they say about what they found as they went line by line through the DOGE findings of USAID. So here we go.
Let's get really granular because we know that DOGE is getting really granular. What are some of the policy positions? What are some of the directions the money has flowed that has really caused some people on both sides of the aisle to be in question?
Yeah, Reed, a lot of questions about how USAID actually spends their money. Our confirmed team went through and looked at line by line where some of this money gets spent. And let me just read through some of these reports that we have found. There was a claim from the Trump administration that about $2 million was spent in USAID funds for a Moroccan pottery class. That is true. In 2009, USAID allotted about $27 million for an economic development project in Morocco. Now, pottery is an economic engine there, and their tile industry is world-renowned. A lot of tourists go there and make pottery. That's something that happens. But the question remains of why U.S. taxpayer dollars are being used to fund a program like this that was later found to be, quote, ineffective. There was also a claim that $20 million was spent on a Sesame Street show created for Iraq. This is also true. USAID used about $20 million of partner funding to work with the Sesame Street Workshop to produce a program that would promote inclusion, mutual respect, and understanding across ethnic, religious, and sectarian groups. That is a quote from their website. And this project was supposed to run from 2021 to 2027. Another claim that our team had fact-checked and looked at was that there was a $70,000 DEI musical that was being produced in Ireland. Also true. The Department of State, as a part of a public diplomacy program, awarded about $70,000 in 2022 for a live musical event that would promote the U.S. and Irish shared values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is all a part of government records. And just finally, another one that I want to read to you that we found as a part of our look at this line-by-line item was another eye-popping figure, about $9 million of funds that were supposed to be used for food and medical supplies for Syrian civilians actually ended up in the hands of a terrorist. This is someone who was using these funds, diverting them to terrorist organizations, including one that's affiliated with Al-Qaeda. So there are a lot of questions surrounding USAID, and of course they do good work when it comes to vaccines. People I've talked to who were even critical about the way some of these funds were spent say that their work on PEPFAR to combat HIV, AIDS in countries all across the world is significant and has actual tangible results. But when you look line by line at some of how these $40 billion of funds allocated by Congress are actually spent, there's a lot in here leaving a lot of questions to a lot of people.
Okay, so those are line items. Those are real dollars that USAID spent on Moroccan pottery, on an LGBTQ musical in Ireland, on a Sesame Street inclusion program in, where was it, Syria? I think it was Syria. Should we spend that money? Like, is that right? Should U.S. tax dollars be spent on those things? I don't know. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. But we should know. We should know. And that's the entire point of DOGE, is they're uncovering all of this. Now, they're making recommendations to the Trump administration, who is then saying, yes, we should, no, we shouldn't. And they'll have to work that back through Congress because some of these funds have been appropriated through Congress. But we should be questioning these things. We should know where the money is being spent, and we should be questioning it. Now, the real money, well, let's talk about the real money after we watch the second video, because the second video is Congresswoman Nancy Mace, and she is asking these governors the yes or no questions. Look, we're not a big fan of this yes or no rubbish that goes on in front of Congress. The whole point of showing this video is she lists out what we think are some very questionable spends that are made through USAID. So let's look at that now.
Today I'm going to expose some of the initiatives USAID has funded over the years and ask each of you a yes or no question. If you believe these expenditures of American taxpayer dollars put America first. So it'll be yes or no. USAID awarded $2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming health care in Guatemala. So to each of you this morning, does this advance the interests of American citizens paying for trannies in Guatemala to the tune of $2 million? Yes or no? Governor?
No. I have no position.
Of course you don't. Okay, USAID awarded over $750,000 to fund alleviating loneliness among migrant garment workers in India. Does this advance America's interests, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
USAID awarded $1.5 million for providing a gender-sensitive response to migration at the Venezuelan border. Does this advance America's interests, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
Does this advance the interest? Okay, so USAID awarded $4.3 million on October 1st, 2023 to a group to fund comprehensive health services for men having sex with other men in South Africa. Does this advance the interests of American citizens, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
I bet you don't. Okay. USAID awarded $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities by promoting economic empowerment and opportunity for LGBTQI plus people in Serbia. Does this advance America's interests?
No.
No. Nope.
You have no idea, right? Okay. USAID awarded over $70,000 to a group to deliver a live musical event to promote the U.S. and Irish shared values of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Does this advance the interests of America?
No.
No. No position.
No position or no clue. Okay, USAID awarded $1.5 million to fund strengthening community support structures to upscale LGBT rights advocacy in Jamaica. Does this advance our interests?
No.
No. No position.
USAID awarded $28 million to a group to facilitate the economic insertion of Venezuelan migrants and refugees in Peru and Ecuador. Does this advance our interests?
No.
No. No position.
Okay, USAID awarded $17.5 million to fund voluntary medical male circumcision overseas. Does this advance America's interests?
No.
No. No position.
I don't know what circumcision overseas has to do with America First either. USAID awarded nearly $150,000 to fund HIV prevention services targeting men who have sex with men and transgender. Does this advance America's interests?
No.
No. No position.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm limited to 5 minutes, but these are the programs Democrats are so desperate to save. Our foreign assistance system is badly broken, and this ends now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back.
Mr. Chairman, parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so again, we're not big fans of Nancy Mace. We think she's a grandstander and whatever. Like, she is what she is, but she just listed off a whole bunch of very questionable things that amount to close to $100 million of taxpayer money that are being used to fund these programs. We should know that. We should know what's going on. Now, when you look at our total budget, we did this breakdown when we did in our episode where we talked about why we supported DOGE, but the total budget is it's $1.7 trillion over what we expect to collect. So if we're hemorrhaging money, so that's just this year. That's this year's budget. And then you look at the total deficit, it's approaching $40 billion at this point. As of 2023, it was $33 trillion deficit. So these are headline grabbers, excuse us, for sure. But this isn't where the real money is. The real money, in our opinion, is in 3 programs. The military, the defense budget, that has to be rife with bloat, with fraud, with unnecessary spending. Medicare and Medicaid has to be rife with bloat, with fraud, with unnecessary spending. Then we've got to look at Social Security and figure out what to do with that. We don't know exactly how Social Security is administered, so we're not offering an opinion on Social Security. We just know that between those three, defense, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, it amounts to roughly half of the budget. So of the almost $7 trillion we're going to spend, 3.5 trillion are in those three categories. So DOGE is starting to look at those now, and we cannot wait to see what they expose, especially in the military. We are certain that there is a ton of bloat and a ton of fraud in that military budget, and we cannot wait for it to be uncovered and explained to the American people. You know, not for nothing, I don't know the last time the U.S. Defense Department or the U.S. military passed an audit. They literally cannot account for where all of their money and all of their assets are. So when you see an organization that size, that is that disorganized with their financials, it's rife for fraud and for waste and for bloat. And so we cannot wait for them to expose it. So we just wanted to follow up on some of the things that DOGE has uncovered so far. And if you go back and watch our episode, we think their process is very clear. It's a new group, so they've got to figure out how to do what they do. So they start with small things, perfect their process, and then when they feel like they really know what they're doing, they can turn to the bigger things where the real money is. And we think that's what you're seeing from them right now. They're starting to dig into Medicare and Medicaid. They're starting to dig into the defense budget, and that's where they'll find real money. So we're all about it. We can't wait, regardless of whether you think, look, USAID does good things too. So they do a lot of healthcare around the world, especially around HIV vaccinations and medications to keep people alive. So we're a little bit spoiled in the United States in that HIV has become much less prevalent. Around the world, HIV is still a really big problem. And some of the funds flow through USAID. Fine, I am all for keeping people alive and helping people out. Does it need to flow through USAID? And why does everything else have to flow through USAID? It feels like a slush fund. It feels like a place for dark money to flow. And in fact, they talked about it. There was $9 million that were supposed to go to targeting hunger in Syria, and it wound up in a terrorist pocket. How does that happen? I mean, these are government funds. How do they wind up with a terrorist? We should know these things, and we should fix them when they're wrong. So that's the episode for today, guys. Wanted to share some findings with you that are coming out from the work these guys are doing. We're 100% supportive of it. Like we talked about, there needs to be guardrails to make sure that things are not being done illegally, or people that don't have clearance or to access specific records shouldn't access those records. That's great. We're all for that. We're supportive of that. But to simply say they're wrong is just false. Like, it's just false. They've already uncovered so much sketchy stuff. We can't wait until they get to the big buckets of the budget. So go to our website, guys. Don't forget, that's today's episode. Head over to our website. James puts it up over there, saltygingertalk.com. All of our podcast episodes are available there. We got links to all of our social media accounts over there. And we've got a newsletter that we publish every weekday that you can subscribe to there. It's a quick 5-minute read. We show 3 current events. We do a quote of the day and a tip of the day. It's a quick 5-minute read to keep you in the know, start your day off with a little bit of laugh, because we're kind of sarcastic and snarky in the newsletter, so you might get a kick out of it. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you consume it on. It's super helpful for us to get the word out to other people and let them see what we're all thinking about and what we're talking about. So appreciate everyone checking us out. Everybody have a great week, and we will see you on the next episode.